Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. We welcome you to a new panel on the 3Cs initiative. This time, we welcome two valuable experts from Bulgaria and from the Czech Republic. From left to right, Dr. Rumena Filipova is the chairperson and co-founder of the Institute for Global Analytics in Bulgaria. She received a Doctor of Philosophy and a Philosophy Master in International Relations from the University of Oxford and a BA in Politics, Psychology and Sociology from the University of Cambridge. Filipova's main research interests focus on the politics and international relations of Central and Eastern Europe, with a particular reference to questions of identity, media and disinformation, the authoritarian influence exercised by Russia and China in the region. Her new book is titled Constructing the Limits of Europe, Identity and Foreign Policy in Poland, Bulgaria and Russia since 1989. It examines the reasons for the differential integration of Central and East European countries into the Euro-Atlantic community after the collapse of communism, focusing on the importance of national state identities and historical conditioned conceptions of Europe and shapers of external behavior. In addition, Dr. Filipova is also an active observer of Bulgaria and the 3Cs initiative and a regular contributor to our panels on the subject, the previous one taking place last December. We're very, very happy to host you once more, Rumena. Welcome.
Thank you so much for the invitation.
Absolutely. We're really happy and thrilled to have you once again. Jan Rafael Boumeský, he's an expert in Central and 3Cs initiative from the Czech Republic. Jan has worked as an advisor to the President of the Czech Republic, the Minister of Defense, and several members of the Czech Parliament, as well as the Chief Legislative Analyst for the Union of Small and Medium Enterprises. Since 2016, he has been living permanently in Poland, where he analyzes political risks in Central Europe for foreign investors, comments on Polish politics for CNN, Prima News, and Czech television, speaks at conference on Central Europe and the 3Cs initiative, and is city district councillor for Wrocław Narożny City District. Welcome, Jan.
Hello, everybody. Happy to be here.
Well, our two experts have dedicated a substantial amount of time into the 3Cs initiative, both on their respective disciplines. And we have had several panels about the 3Cs in our program at the Warsaw Institute, with different experts across the region providing and shedding new light on the initiative's progress, developments, challenges, and also future. There's no question that the Russian invasion of Ukraine has shifted the attention to the east of Europe, and hence the role that Poland, the Czech Republic, the Baltic countries, and Hungary play in reinforcing the eastern flank. However, in our view, less discussion has focused on Bulgaria and Romania, especially Romania, who will host this year's summit. Now, Bulgaria is quite an interesting actor in this play, and we would like to discuss it further with Dr. Filipova. Now, Rumena, last year in December 2022, you were in our panels and we were discussing Bulgaria's role in the 3Cs initiative, particularly the internal view of the initiative and the ambiguous consensus among the population in Bulgaria. To quote you, Limited public awareness coupled with distrust and opposition to the initiative by Russophile and nationalist social and political networks limited Bulgaria's full anchoring in the format. Now, I would like to ask you, 7 months later, from December to now in July, has this perception changed, or what developments can we see in Bulgaria? How has this developed in the last 7 months?
Thank you, Katya. So, in general, there have been important continuities, but also some changes, hopefully, in the right direction. So, on the one hand, the limited awareness of the initiative has persisted, especially on the public level, but also on the level of the media, since there aren't enough public discussions or even reports in the Bulgarian media space, which clearly discuss and outline the benefits of the initiative for Bulgaria and how it can connect itself to the other countries in Central and Eastern Europe. So that has persisted. Also, Bulgaria still has exhibited somewhat limited political support of the initiative in specific parts of the political spectrum. As you mentioned, on the nationalist and also the Russophile part of the political spectrum in the country. So, these groups, which are typically also interlinked, have continue to disseminate disinformation about the Three Seas initiative because they see it as being opposed, so to say, to Russia and China. Now, of course, Bulgaria also still has some of the lowest number of active projects under the initiative, I think together with the Czech Republic on that front. And the four projects that it has are primarily national in nature and focused on energy and transport. So this comes to show that Bulgaria still has to develop the regional arm of its Three Seas initiative policies and ideas for the future. Now, I have to mention, however, some important modifications to that or steps in the direction of greater engagement with the initiative and, in particular, together with Romania. So, this really ties in with the upcoming summit in Bucharest in September. So, in general, it may look like natural policy choice for Bulgaria and Romania to cooperate, as they share, of course, a lot of similarities and are members of both the EU and NATO. However, cooperation between the two countries has often stalled, depending also on the political configurations in the two countries, but also in particular in Bulgaria. But as of this spring, specifically, there has been a greater push for more cooperation in the development of regional relations between the two countries. So I have to mention that bilateral meetings took place between the Bulgarian and Romanian side to discuss digital transformation, and this was as part of the Three Seas initiative. So this is an important direction that can chart out future regionally integrative relations between the two countries. So focus on the digital sector. Also, an idea has been floated, including as part of those meetings, for the creation of a new investment fund for entrepreneurship innovation that can support startups. And it does seem that the Bulgarian side is very much interested in establishing deeper cooperation with Romania as regards the further development of this fund. So again, overall, it's important to mention that this is a new aspect in Bulgaria's thinking and politics to engage more with Romania, especially in the spheres of innovation, digital transformation, entrepreneurship, and supporting startups. Now, in terms of the wider context of that bilateral relationship, of course, we cannot escape the reality of the war in Ukraine and the military dimension, but there have been developments towards greater cooperation between Bulgaria and Romania on the military front. And just last week, a letter of intent was signed between the two countries for the establishment of a regional special operations command force to strengthen the alliance's deterrence capabilities, specifically in the Balkans. So again, that's a sign that relations are moving in a closer direction, especially in recent months. And last but not least, I have to mention the area of transport links, because again, the two countries suffer very significantly from the lack of bridges across the Danube, because as things stand right now, we only have two bridges across the river. And that certainly has created a lot of problems with traffic, especially in northeast Bulgaria, with significant traffic jams that affect both sides. So there have been again discussions about the construction of a new bridge, and also potentially we should look into the development of railway connections between the two countries. So really to sum up the situation, the important modification, let's say, or change hopefully in the future is the greater attention on the part of Bulgaria on its northern neighbor, and the fact that there is greater realization that we can jointly benefit from the Three Seas initiative, exactly when it comes to the multifaceted development of bilateral relations, especially in the digital sphere, entrepreneurship. But of course, these new directions, which are written on paper for now, need to receive concrete implementation and practical realization. And I will end now on the note that in addition to developing our bilateral ties with Romania, Bulgaria also needs to look further to the north, because, of course, the Three Seas initiative stretches from the Baltics and through Central Europe and to the Balkans. And realizing the need for regional cooperation with Romania is important, but we also need to think of even greater and larger regional cooperation in the region. But I think we'll discuss that later during our panel.
Right. No, thank you very much, Romana, for this robust and comprehensive introduction as well. We will definitely return to several points that you mentioned, not only the awareness in the media, but also the fact that commercial decisions are now turning more political. So politicizing these kind of decisions about whether to build or not, whether to connect or not, whether to invest or not, have become politicized across the Three Seas region. One of the most interesting points that we will also discuss are these bilateral agreements and, of course, the digitalization point. Now, we will definitely return to this one in a second. Before that, I would like to turn to Jan. Now, Jan, you have worked on the topic for quite some time. So let's introduce to the audience and also to Rumena and myself the preliminary points. The Czech Republic had been previously skeptical about the initiative until 2021, when the newly elected faction raised its geopolitical significance. The growing interest of the Czech Republic in the Three Seas initiative format and focuses now more on diversifying energy dependence. I mean, clearly, and not to mention, due to the fact that the Czech Republic was heavily reliant on Russia oil and gas. Now, a similar question to the one that I posed to Rumena. What is the current stand of the Czech perception on the Three Seas initiative, or how has it progressively changed?
It did indeed, actually, in current days. So it's changing. It's changing now. So you are right. Since 2016, the Czech government wasn't interested at all in the Three Seas initiative. So Czech Republic was one of the founding fathers of the Three Seas initiative, but it was like a pro forma, just not to say no to the neighbors asking to join their international cooperation. And actually till 2021, but we can say till 2022, nobody was interested in the Three Seas initiatives. It was not about the government change. It was not about the elections. We had elections in December 2021. The former Prime Minister Andrej Babiš lost the elections, but at the end of his campaign in 2021, he was trying to play the card of the nostalgia of Central Europe. So he was like he was pro Three Seas initiative. He was trying to uh, help with the investment fund at the end of his political campaign in December 2021. Everything changed not with the new government but with the Russian aggression on Ukraine, because the Czech elites realized that we are not so safe anymore. Something is happening in our region, and we need to be connected with our neighbors, and we need to be interested in what is going on in our region. So I would say that the February 24th, 2022 changed everything in the Czech policy, in the Czech foreign policy, in the Czech defense policy, and it changed the approach towards the Three Seas initiatives as well. Since then, the members of the new governments, they start to ask what is this Three Seas initiatives. They recognize the political significance of this initiative, and it I would say it graduated 1 week ago, when for the first time the Czech government last Wednesday discussed a document called New Perspective towards Three Seas Initiative. So this is the first, I would say, revolutionary document where the Czech government is considering the new approach towards the Three Seas initiatives, because so far we were member of the Three Seas initiatives, but no political tops were representing Czech Republic at the summits, but 2019 Miloš Zeman in Ljubljana, but no other political tops represented Czech Republic on the Three Seas initiative events. I was I think in April this year in Lublin on the regional congress of the Three Seas initiatives, and Polish President Duda said at this congress that in the past the Three Seas initiatives was about infrastructure. It was about connecting the countries together, but now we see more than ever that it's about our security as well. And this security dimension of Three Seas initiatives, that was the most important trigger for the Czech politicians to look at the initiative with some significant importance. What they do now. So as I already said, so the approach changed exactly 1 week ago or 6 days ago, when the Czech government agreed this new document. Based on this document, the Foreign Affairs Minister Jan Lipavský have to call a new national coordinator for the Three Seas initiative. It will be like a convoy of the Czech Republic for all the three Cs initiative matters, because so far this agenda was held by one of the directors on the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. In the past, it was one of the vice ministers at the Ministry of Infrastructure. So I think we can see if such an important agenda is held by vice minister in the Ministry of Infrastructure, that was much saying about the Czech approach. And now we will have a national coordinator or convey of the government for this agenda. Another very important things which change, Rumena very correctly said that the Czech Republic has almost no these priority projects on the list of 3Cs initiatives. That was true. Actually, the only project so far was a river channel connecting 3Cs. But different 3Cs than the 3Cs initiatives represents. It was about connecting the river of Odra, Danube, and Elbe in the Czech Republic. It was a project. It was a project forced by the former Czech president Miloš Zeman. Everybody knew that the project will never gonna happen, that it will never be realized, but we had it on the agenda of important project, because no one cared about the 3Cs initiatives, to be frank. That changed with this document as well. On the summit in Bucharest, Czech Republic will call two new priority projects. One of them will be a new railway connection between Czech Republic and Poland to Baltic states. One of them will be from Prague to Wroclaw, so from the city I was born in to the city I am counselor in. But there will be another railway connection as well from Ostrava to Katowice, and it will be about the railway connection which we need to our biggest neighbor from the Central Eastern Europe. Another project will be called in Bucharest as a Czech priority project. It will be the gas pipeline, the Stork 2 project, connecting Czech gas system to the LPG port in Danzig in Gdańsk. So last but not least, the 3Cs initiatives have 12 countries, but only 9 of them are participating in the investment fund. So Czech Republic, Austria, and Slovakia do not participate in the investment fund, and this project should change it as well. Till the end of November 2023, the Minister of Finance, together with the Minister of Foreign Affairs, should discuss the risks and pro and contras of being part of this investment fund. And now we at least know the date. Till the end of November, there should be a decision if Czech Republic will participate in this investment fund. So all the unclear matters we were bearing from the past should be resolved this year, and that shows how the 3Cs initiative become a political task for the Czech politicians and for the Czech population as well.
Right. Thank you very much, Jan, for this. Also, a quite robust and rich first lines on the 3Cs initiative for the Czech Republic. Now, we will return to this question of the investment fund precisely because the Czech Republic has sought to diversify its sources of gas, looking also to the Middle East and Azerbaijan. Now, we will return to this question, but before we do, I would like to go back to Romana a little bit. Romana, you mentioned that unfortunately Bulgaria has not that many projects. Why is this? Do you believe that this still is very much linked to the national sentiment, or is it because simply the investment is not there and there's no willingness also from the, well, you mentioned from the political side, but also from the citizen side. Added to that, one leading question is how can we conceptualize the green transition in the 3Cs initiative? Now, despite the fact that we do not have that many projects, will maybe linking new projects to the green transition be a catalyst in the positive way for Bulgaria?
Thank you, Katya, for these questions. Now, in general, regarding the low number of projects, I think that this situation is indeed determined by the limited awareness and also recognition of the importance of the initiative on the level of the political elite. And to put that into context, I have to say that in the past 2 years, Bulgaria has been characterized by very significant political instability, the deadlock between two of the major political opponents, and it was only last month in June that a regular government was formed between the two major political opponents, which may portend a new era of somewhat greater stability. Although that government is going to function within a self-imposed limited time frame of 18 months. So this is just the general context which shows that in Bulgaria, a lot of political life has really revolved around multiple elections. We've had 5 general elections in 2 years, and therefore limited attention has been devoted to any foreign policy considerations, and the three C's initiative is included in that. Now, in 2021, Bulgaria hosted the three C's initiative summit in Sofia, and that was a major push back then for the development of the initiative. But I would say that the momentum after the summit was not sustained in the country, exactly because it was again plunged into endless political cycles of elections and political squabbles and fragmentation. So that momentum did not change the perception in Bulgaria. And unfortunately, the situation still remains like that. Although, hopefully, again, with the greater recognition of cooperation with Romania, much more concrete projects can be put forward in the future. Now, I would say that, in moving on to your second question about the green transition, I have to say that perhaps there are ways in which the funds from the EU Recovery and Resilience Plan could be connected to three C's initiative projects. I think that there is this level of initiative and thinking in Bulgaria that there can be an interlinkage in general. But when it comes to the green transition, I would say that again we have Bulgaria has not made up its mind, even though of course the general consensus in Europe, and I would say much of the world, the Western world at least, is focused on the importance of renewable energy, on the green transition. Last year, at the end of last year, the Bulgarian parliament actually voted against the early retirement of coal-powered power plants in the country, which produce electricity. And they voted this initiative, even though it was known that this would block the reception of EU recovery and resilience funds. So that this is even in the knowledge that the general trend and of course the significance of how we treat the environment and how we restructure our economy goes in the direction of the green transition. So again, I think we have a problem here of making up our minds as to how to really make the transition, which is inevitable in many ways. And of course, Poland has had a similar issue because it has relied a lot on coal. But I would say that the Bulgarian political class also again needs to recognize where the realities go, and the fact that we cannot be asking for any further extensions of how to restructure this sector, because the time is now and the funds for it can be provided. But of course, this is an unpalatable political decision that needs to be made, and it's politicized, and of course the people, when it comes to the labor force and the people who work in those power plants, this is something that is being politicized, and the hard political decision is not being taken.
Right. I mean, it's quite hard to reconcile this interest. I mean, on the one side we have development and innovation, but then on the other side we want to be remain within the status quo because it's more secure to have a secure source of energy that works and not move out from this, even if it means risking either funds or support regionally. This is very true and this is very interesting. I believe that your point made that the momentum was not sustained was a determinant for as a whole, like to stop this Bulgaria from advancing. And it is unfortunate because my next question was precisely Bulgaria is ranking top on interconnectivity. I mean, in 5G. I mean, surprising. Well, yes. I mean, surprisingly for some, as it might be, um, Bulgaria is a promising destination for companies looking to invest in 5G technology and related service in the Central Eastern European region. I mean, it's standing out as a shining leader in 5G, as I mentioned, predominantly in speed and connectivity. So, how can Bulgaria harness this potential across the region? I mean, could we push this potential if it's not on transport and energy? Can at least Bulgaria become a leader in this regard?
Yes, that's actually a very important area to consider, because, of course, every country has some strengths and weaknesses and areas in which it specializes, areas of the economy, and the IT sector in Bulgaria is one of those sectors that have traditionally developed very fast. So now it's important to capitalize on the advantages and the benefits, and the edge that the country has in this area. So it does look like there have been some moves on the part of the government or various governments and the politicians to work in the direction of developing cross-border data centers. At least they have talked about it, and given their focus on cooperation with Romania on digital transformation, it may happen that the regional element of digital connectivity may be worked on in the future as well. So we have yet to see this development coming to fruition.
Right. I mean, I believe Romania introduced its new cybersecurity center, but from the European side, about last year or 2 years ago. So it's definitely an emerging hub. Now, the Czech Republic and Bulgaria are somehow similar, but somehow also pretty much different in the sense that the Czech Republic has more interest in energy and in energy security. Now, Jan, you spoke about infrastructure security or security as a broad concept in how the Three Cities Initiative became or transformed from being a commercial or a more economic based initiative into a more securitized, politicized initiative. Now, the Czechs and the Poles have accelerated efforts to build new reactors in an effort to diversify and sustain their energy demand. You mentioned the Stork 2, but there are also the East String and the BRUA or BRUA projects. Now, we see that these decisions indeed come more often as political rather than commercial decisions, which have the potential to become even further attached to either elections, parties, ideologies. Now, I do not see the part of the ideologies very much. I mean, in the end, we strive for a common goal. But then, once again, the Czech Republic was very reliant on Russian gas and energy. then the Czech Republic began eyeing LNG from the Middle East and Azerbaijan. Would such a move endanger its future commitment and participation in the 3CC initiative? How do you conceptualize this? I mean, do you believe that in the end, I mean, the public will opt similarly to as Bulgaria, will aim more for its security for a certainty rather than a blind gamble on the initiative? Oh, you're muted.
Now I'm unmuted. Great. So I think it can be both actually. So the Czechs, they will do everything to secure their energies, because, as you said, Katya, we were very dependent on the Russian gas. One of the countries which were the most dependent on the Russian gas, and we don't have a lot of options how to avoid this dependence on Russian gas, because we don't have any sea. So we are inland country, and so we need the three seas initiative, because we don't have any sea. So we need to cooperate with Poland to have access to the new ports in Gdańsk. We already secured some of the volume of the new LNG terminal in the Netherlands. To get LNG from there as well. We have to atom power plants, and our political representations always forced to make atom energy as a renewable energy, because in the Czech point of view, the nuclear energy is one of the greenest and safest energy we have now in Europe, and that's the only or that's the most secure option for the Czech politicians and for the Czech people as well. I can remember back then when the Germans announced that they will close all of their nuclear power plants, that at the very same day the Czech government announced that we will expand both of our nuclear energy plants. And it was symbolic, and it was not a coincidence that they announced it at the very same day. What is interesting, this is not a political dispute in the Czech Republic. Everybody agrees that the nuclear energy is the future for our country. And now, as you mentioned, the Polish, they see the future in nuclear energy as well. So I think we can cooperate on this matter together. So we will definitely need to diversify our energy income, and how to get energies, because as you mentioned, we were one of the most countries dependent on the Russian gas, and we want to lose every dependence on the Russian gas, but it's not as simple as for the countries which have the sea.
Right, is quite interesting what you what you mentioned on the nuclear side. I believe there's a divided understanding on the pros and benefits, well, pros and cons of using nuclear energy, and this is a debate for another panel as well. I mean, in general, I mean, how to reconcile this interest, and also not only the economic but also the political interests, and how we could drive unity in these kind of projects. Now, I would like to, well, you already answered one of my follow-up questions, which was about the perspectives and the approaches of the recently document that the Czech Republic published I would like to call it. I mean, you mentioned the national coordinator. I would like to put this move into a box and call it institutionalizing the initiative domestically. Now, this is something that is unfortunately lacking in Bulgaria. So, Rumena, how or what tools do we have available in Bulgaria, or what can Bulgaria, not only the publics or the government, but also the private initiative, push to draw attention to these developments? I mean, it seems that the Czech Republic is actually making quite a good job. I mean, late, but still it's doing quite a good job. I mean, recently. So how can Bulgaria achieve this? What can we do to, I mean, you mentioned one of the points, which is the startups, to draw attention to the startups and then to drive innovation. I mean, you also dropped the NATO. NATO has also new startup investment to the NATO accelerator. But still, my questions, and I think that the question of our viewers would be, how can Bulgaria take a central stage?
Yeah, so as regards the institutionalization side, actually, for a long period of time, the person who was responsible for coordinating the initiative was specifically designated by a given government. So it looked like a process that was less institutionalized and much more personalistic, so tied to the particular personality, but which was responsible for the implementation and coordination of the initiative. But more or less recent development of the past year has consisted in the fact that now the coordination of the initiative is lodged in the Ministry of Innovation and Growth. So, in that respect, I would say that we do have a positive development in that there is a specifically designated ministry which is responsible for the implementation of the initiative, for its coordination, and that's irrespective of which political force or which government is in power. So, this ensures a degree of continuity. So, in that regard, how we can make them more interested, my response would be that we need to work even more closely with the individuals and institutions which are in general interested, have an interest in that initiative, and to reinforce it. So I would say that we need to work with the Ministry of Innovation and to speed up the process of really considering new projects and initiatives that can be implemented, but also the other, not necessarily governmental supporters of the platform, including the American Chamber of Commerce, also some banking institutions, including the Bulgarian Development Bank, which is a contributor to the Three Seas Investment Fund. So I think if we better connect or even reinforce those people and the institutions who are already invested in the platform, we could perhaps create a more positive momentum.
Yes, you're correct. I mean, one of the leading events, or one of the leading successes that happened in the summit in Sofia back in 2021 was exactly that the American Chambers of Commerce got together and actually signed precisely to give certainty to the investors, to the incoming investors. On that note, Rumena, I would like to follow up on my last question to you, which is about the future. So, well, it's hard to predict the future, but still, I mean, could we expect that these demands or these exact precise points that you just mentioned to be raised in Bucharest, or what can we expect from Bulgaria's side to put forward in Bucharest?
Yes, so I do expect that this regional dimension that seems to be gaining ground among certain politicians, putting forward joint initiatives with Romania would be something that is going to be taken up on in Bucharest, and because also the coordination of the initiative is lodged within the Ministry of Innovation, I think. That the Bulgarian preferred focus within the platform would be on innovation and entrepreneurship. So these two areas, and this is again something that also builds on the summit in 2021, which again focused on entrepreneurship and the development of private enterprise, and also the science and research. So how R&D can help businesses. So this is what I would expect from the Bulgarian position at the summit.
Well, we'll definitely take a closer look during and after the summit to precisely see how good you are in predicting the future, but also how indeed Bulgaria can advance in the innovation, research, and development points towards a more cohesive business initiative. Now, Jan, a similar question to you as my concluding question, and if you can elaborate further or in the previous points that Romana has mentioned, what expectations can we see from the Czech Republic? Now, you mentioned a higher participation, a more increased participation in the projects, more investment, but will this continue for the Bucharest, and what are the leading perspectives?
Yeah, so for sure, because the document I was talking about, which was discussed and which was agreed last Wednesday, so is to prepare the new Czech stance towards the summit in Bucharest. I think. We will participate in the investment fund as well. That's how I read the statements of the government meetings. We just need to see the clear pros and contrasts of being part in the investment fund, but we can see the change of approach towards the three C's initiative. So now with the national coordinator, I think it's very important. As well, that there will be one person who will coordinate all initiatives across all agendas, because what Rumena mentioned, that the person responsible for the Bulgarian three C's initiative agenda is lodged with the Ministry of Innovation. It shows the Czech approach from the past years, that we had such a person lodged in the Ministry of Transportation because and infrastructure, because we are thinking the three C's initiative is about infrastructure and transportation, but now we see it as a whole concept, and so the national coordinator will be very very important, and some of the foreign affairs analysts from the Czech Republic, what they see as the next step in the Three Seas initiative for the Czech Republic is to host a summit of the Three Seas initiative, because the every year it's in a different country. This year it will be in Romania, in Bucharest, for the second time already. Romania will have it already for the second time, and if we should show that we take the initiative seriously, we should try to be the host of one of the next summits of the Three Seas initiative, and that will underline the new approach toward this initiative, which we really need after the Russian aggression on Ukraine, because we really need to be interconnected in our region, in the region of Central and Eastern Europe. We see that the another format we had in Central Europe, the Visegrad group, is not working so good as it was in the past. Actually, 18 days ago, Czech Republic took over the presidency of the Visegrad group, and I think nobody noticed in the Czech Republic and in other countries as well. There was, of course, this summit where you take over the presidency, but the Czech political representation, they were trying to make so so few knows about it as possible, because Czech Republic don't want to be connected with the current Hungarian politics towards Ukraine, and this Visegrad group was one of the main goals was to speak with one voice about the topics in our region. So the Czech Republic will now try to make from the Visegrad group culture platform to discuss everything but security and infrastructure for sure. And 3C's initiative can be a new platform to speak about security matters, security questions. So I'm not sure if I'm forecasting it well, but these are my hopes, and I think this development would be the best for the Czech Republic to underline the significance of the initiative by hosting one of the next summits, and to make from 3C's initiative one of our main security platforms.
Right. I know for a fact that Jan has a good intelligence, and this is something that we definitely look at on various occasions. I do not doubt that indeed the Czech Republic can take a leading role, including Bulgaria. I mean, most of the conversation, and now that it's the next summit in Bucharest, I do, if I may provide my own forecast, I do believe that Bulgaria should and could take a leading stand on connectivity because it has become its strength now in the region. So now we see more of a political hope, and we hope as well, political will, and we hope for the public to also see and notice this potential nationally. And well, hopefully we can see the advancement of the 3Cs initiative. Now, last year I was in various panels of the like, and the expectation was increasing, the hopes were increasing. Now we will wait until after the summit, and we will definitely have another round of panels after the summit in September, and we can retake some of the topics and themes discussed in this panel. Rumena, Jan, thank you very much for your contribution. Thank you very much for your expertise and for your forecast. I look forward to speaking with you on a different occasion in another panel, as I mentioned, after the summit. In any case, to our viewers, thank you for attending this panel, and until next time.
Thank
Thank
you very
you.
much,
Bye.
Katya. Thank you, Romana.